thing is, with the current dupe method that I know about, which when I made that guess video, is that when I was guessing how the dupe method would work, I was actually extremely close, by the way. It was very, very close as to how that actually works. So I do now know exactly how it works, but I will say this: it's weird that walks have been happening on ladder, because the method that actually works that I know about works on non-ladder. It doesn't work on ladder. Like, you couldn't just willy-nilly do it on ladder. Like,
and will those items poof as well, or are they perm? That's the question.
That I don't know. I haven't found any solid confirmation as to whether or not things like jewels don't poof after you put them in items. Some people have said that they do. Some people say that they don't. But like, it used to be back in the days of LOD, if you would socket a duped jewel into an item, you were fine. It would just perm. It would become part of the item. It's not entirely clear if that's the case in D2R. Put it this way, it's not something, like, it's something that you needed to have active knowledge on before the ladder reset, or you needed to accidentally do before the ladder reset. It's impossible to set it up right now, but it is certainly possible to set it up for next ladder season. And that's certainly something that can get you banned, so I wouldn't dare do it. And I don't want the information to be out there. Actually, fuck it. You know what? You guys want to know how to do? You guys want to know how to do? Fuck it, dude. Let them fucking patch it. The more people that do it, maybe... Fuck it. It currently still works, like, on non-ladder. And if they don't change anything, when the ladder resets, it will certainly work on next season on non-ladder. So you make a whole bunch of amulets, like crafted rings, amulets, all this stuff. And you put them in your ladder shared stash. Fill your ladder shared stash. Literally just about every tab. So like, I actually got to make a trip to the stash. I'll show you what I mean. Like, I'll show you what I mean, because this is going to get very specific. Craft a shit ton of amulets, and you fill up this tab, all of it. Every single square of this tab right here. You're going to fill that up with one by one, like, amulets and rings. Nothing else. All rings and amulets. Like, fill all of this thing up. This tab, fill it all up. Fill this tab up. All rings, amulets. Boom, boom, boom. Fill it all up. This tab, fill it all the way up to, like, fill up 60% of it. That's a good way to put it. Fill up 60% of this. So pick 6 rows, fill it up, right? If you really want to make sure it works, you can fill more, right? But you have a very small area on this tab where when you fill all of this shit up, right, with all one by ones, rings, amulets, fill it all up, right? And then let's just assume it's this area right here, right? What I would do is you then on non-ladder, when the season resets, boom, you'll have 2 stashes that you can switch back and forth between. Switch to your old ladder stash. So look at like your previous ladder stash, and then try to overload the game with shit. You see how we're selling amulets to this vendor right here? Do that. Go buy a whole bunch of amulets, right? Like, you go into the trade, you fill this vendor up with amulets, go fill another one up with amulets, overload the vendors, overload everything, right? Then, once you've done that, you fill the vendors up, you overload them, and you've essentially overloaded the game. Then, just go take items out of that area. Take them out, save and exit, go make another game. Open it up, they'll still be there, and they'll also be in your inventory. Like, and then what you can do is, if you've duped jewels or whatnot, you can put them in something and try it out. You know, you could do it that way. There's a lot of things you could do. But that's basically how it works. And I tell you that because I honestly want people to break it, so they have to do something about it. Like, that's how to dupe. And they apparently have not fixed it. Like, it still works.
Have you duped anything, let's like say a bird ruin, and socketed it in anything?
So here's the thing too, is from what I understand, runes don't work because they're so, like, they're such low memory that even if you do that, it's such low memory that it will remember that you've done that. Okay. You need an item. You need like an item that has a lot of stats on it. So like, you need to take, oh yeah, that's another piece of the dupe. It has to work on items that have a lot of stats on them. So like a jewel that has 4 abilities will work, right? Because there's 4 lines of code there for this item. Like rune words will work. That's why an enigma got duped, and that's why the runes for the Enigma didn't get duped, but an Enigma is a lot of abilities, so it got duped. People kept pulling it out of their stash like that, and it would just reappear there. It would just keep being there every time they'd go back in. But jewels will work. Certain helms will work. Like maybe this would work because it has a lot of abilities on it. Like, but that's sort of an unknown. Like you don't exactly know which items will work or not, but it tends to be rune words with a lot of abilities or items with a lot of abilities, such as jewels, such as rings or whatnot. Those will do. Yeah, but the item has to have a lot of abilities on it. It is not speculative. It 100% works, but it only works on certain items like that have a lot of abilities on them. Basically, it can't be a rune. Like it just doesn't have enough abilities on it to like not allow the server to save. The reason why it works is because the server tries to save one by one every single amulet that's in your shared stash, every single thing. Oh yeah, overload your non-ladder stash too. It tries to save everything that's in your non-ladder stash. It tries to look at, it tries to wipe everything from the vendors when you leave the game, and it can't do it. Like it can't do it in time before you join another game, and then that item's there. But what it does do is it takes the path of least resistance. So when you save and exit the game, it will say, okay, what's the easiest thing to do right now? And it will say, okay, this rune was removed from the stash. That has a 1x1 with this source of code. Let's start there. Boom. So it will save that rune was gone, and it will try to work its way down so that it quickly gets everything. But if that item that you've taken out takes up more space than all of the rest of the shit in the stash, then it will be done last. So it will say, okay, like it's better to just wipe the vendors and then go and save all of this stuff. It literally tries to prioritize on the server. And like, then it can't do it. It gets to it last. You join another game. It's still in your shared stash. You can take it out again.
Can you dupe SPJs?
Good question. I don't know.
Because it's like theoretically, I mean, it would be a lot of work, but if you get 120 accounts set up with that, that's infinite declones.
Well, you have to also figure that the items will poof. Like, so they do have unique item IDs.
Well,
so
yes,
let's say you do like 20 SOJs, you would have to immediately sell them on the server.
Have you tried socketing like a jewel or anything that you've duped into an item?
I haven't duped anything. Like I haven't, like I didn't know about this before it started. Otherwise I probably would have tried, but from the people that know about it, like they say that jewels have been the way to go. Like they certainly work, but I don't know if they perm. It's unclear.